It's the oldest continuously operated lighthouse on the American side of the Great Lakes. It's the most photographed building in the state of Ohio. Its uniqueness and simple beauty has made it a place of pilgrimage for decades, just to pose for pictures and learn about the area's history, which includes the first battle in Ohio in the War of 1812. This little lighthouse has no doubt saved countless lives in the last 2 centuries, and it has had tremendous impact on the local economy. It was called the Sandusky Light, or Sandusky Bay Light, for its first 5 decades, but since then has been called the Marblehead Lighthouse. Hey everybody, this is Colonel Carson with Family Tree Nuts, and recently we visited the historic Marblehead Lighthouse, and we wanted to share its amazing history with you. At Family Tree Nuts, we make history videos all over the United States, so if you like these types of videos, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to hit that bell so you get a notification when we post a new video. Now back to the story. Over 2 centuries ago, in 1819, just 6 years after Commodore Oliver Hazzard Perry had defeated the British Navy in the Battle of Lake Erie during the War of 1812, the United States Congress approved $5,000 to be used for the construction of a lighthouse at the entrance of Sandusky Bay in Ohio. The lighthouse was built in the fall of 1821 by William Kelly, Amos Finn, and William B. Smith. A 60-year-old Revolutionary War veteran, Benajah Wolcott, was named the first lighthouse keeper, and the light was lit for the first time in June of 1822. Wolcott first came to the area in 1806 to survey a 500-acre plot of land called the Firelands, to be given to settlers from Connecticut whose homes had been burned by the British during the Revolutionary War. The original structure of the lighthouse was built to 50 feet tall. The first light was 13 whale oil burning lanterns with brass reflectors that had to be refilled every 4 hours and burned 11 gallons of oil a night. An oil storage building stood at the base of the lighthouse. A stone keeper's house was also built in 1822 next to the lighthouse, and the present keeper's house was built in 1880. It was occupied until 1987 when its owners passed away, and since the year 2000, it has been operated as a museum. The museum displays a tremendous amount of history about the lighthouse and the surrounding area. Local tradition states that Mr. Wolcott didn't live in the stone keeper's house. Instead, he stayed at his own house about 2 miles away, where he also farmed. That house is still standing and is the oldest surviving home in Ottawa County, Ohio. Tradition has said that Wolcott had the house built in 1822 as a wedding present for his wife Rachel Miller, and it was built by William Kelly, the same person who built the lighthouse. Rachel lived in the house until her death, and her son Henry Wolcott lived there until 1896. The house has long been thought to be the site of a battle between American and British supporting Native Americans. That was the first battle in Ohio in the War of 1812. About 60 American militiamen were ambushed by 130 Indians. About 40 Americans took shelter in a cabin and distracted the Indians while the main party escaped. 2 days later, the men in the cabin were rescued. It is said that 30 to 40 Potawatomi Indians and 8 Americans were killed in the battle that neither side could claim victory in. The 8 Americans' bones were gathered later by Horace Ramsdell and were buried near the site of the makeshift fort. Horace's younger brother Valentine was one of those killed in the battle. A monument was erected in 1857 by the United States Senator Joshua Giddings, who at age 16 had fought as a private in the battle. You can visit the monument and graves today. While the Wolcott house sits only about 500 feet away from the cemetery, it is now disputed that the house was the site of the cabin used by the Americans as a shelter during the battle. For many years, it has been believed that the cabin was Wolcott's, but today some scholars say that the cabin from the battle was owned by a man named Patterson. The lighthouse has had 16 keepers guard the light, and it was the first lighthouse on the Great Lakes to have a female keeper. In fact, it has had 2 female keepers. The keepers had other duties besides keeping the light lit at night. They also were required to keep a log of passing ships, recognize weather conditions, and organize any rescues that may arise. In 1832, the first keeper, Benajah Wolcott, passed away, along with his son during an epidemic of cholera. Wolcott's wife then became the first female keeper of the lighthouse on the Great Lakes. Rachel remarried in 1832, and her new husband, Jeremiah Van Benschotter, then became the keeper. In 1858, the whale oil lamps were replaced by a kerosene lamp and a more powerful lens to put out a brighter light. As ships on the lake became larger and traveled farther out, the lighthouse had to be made larger also, and 15 feet were added to the tower in 1898, making it a total of 65 feet tall. A brick tower was built inside the original stone structure to make it more stable for the additional height of the tower. The light was modified again in 1903, and this time a mechanical mechanism was added that rotated the lens and made it appear that the light would flash every 10 seconds. The kerosene lamp was replaced by an electric light in 1926. In 1958, the entire system was automated to turn on at night and off in the morning. With the threat of World War II looming, the lighthouse fell under the jurisdiction of the United States Coast Guard in 1939. In the late 1990s, plans were made to tear down the lighthouse and replace it with a steel pole with a light at the top. The citizens organized, and the Marblehead Lighthouse Historical Society was formed and assisted the effort of the area to become an Ohio State park. Today, over 1 million people visit the park every year. Also on the park grounds is the Life Saving Station Museum, which is a replica of a station built in 1876, just a few miles from here. The need for the station came out of an epic event that took place on May 1st, 1875. A schooner named Consuelo was leaving Kelly's Island with a cargo of stone blocks when a strong wind caused it to capsize and sink. 3 brothers, Lucian, Hubbard, and A.J. Clemens, saw the horrific event and grabbed a skiff and rowed out to help the crew. The brothers were able to save 2 of the 6 crew members, but soon found themselves in danger as well. A tugboat named Winslow then arrived and saved the heroes and the rescued men. The United States Congress awarded the oldest brother, Lucian, the very first gold life-saving medal, and Hubbard and A.J. were presented the Silver Award. The next year, a U.S. life-saving station was built, and Lucian was appointed as its first keeper. Lucian stayed on as keeper until 1897. The station was one of 6 in Ohio and one of 77 on the Great Lakes. The stations were manned by crews of 6 surfmen and a keeper. The station houses contained a rescue boat, which had launching rails leading into the water. The U.S. Life-Saving Service was merged into the newly formed United States Coast Guard in 1915. The museum is loaded down not only with the history of the U.S. Life-Saving Service, but also displays historic life-saving equipment. It houses a 27-foot rescue boat and is complete with the launch rails into the lake. Another thing the park is known for is the bricks in the walkway. Beginning in 2009, bricks were able to be purchased with a personal engraving of a memory or the name of a loved one. This project helps to raise money for the preservation of the park. Another thing that the Marblehead Lighthouse is known for is its view of the famous amusement park, Cedar Point. Cedar Point was founded in 1870 and has an amazing history of its own. We will cover the history of this national treasure in a future video. So there you have it, the history of this amazing historic spot, the Marblehead Lighthouse. What do you think? Is it worth preserving places like this? Or should we not waste funds and just replace the lighthouses with modern technology? We'd love to hear what you think in the comments below. Also, have you visited here and have a fun memory that you'd like to share? Comment with that as well. It's exciting to hear about when history connects with our own fond memories. If you've never made it to the Marblehead Lighthouse, we hope that you get the opportunity, and when you do, hopefully this video will assist you in appreciating its fine history. We are proud to share it with you. And remember, family tree nuts, let our nuts find the nuts in your family tree.